Welcome, 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 welcome. Okay, welcome from For My Children. We're going to continue on with Ruth 1. And we remember last week we covered the famine. The famine was man-made. The people came in and stole the crops and burnt the land, which caused a scarcity of food. Gideon, now on the other hand, was God's man, and God said, go out after the enemy and we will save this land. And I will be at the head. I will get the honor and glory because you're not going out with very many people and you're not even going to fight this battle. I'm going to fight it. So God did that for them. We also talked about the times and the dates. How did they do timing and dates? They looked at the kings and the judges and who ruled at what time. And that was how they got the dates. And then there was a monk who came along and he changed it all. He counted up all the years. And then he started going before Christ and after Christ. Okay, and then the enemy in the land. The enemy became the enemy because God had told them, come into this land, conquer this land, take over this land. It is my land, and you take this land. And then don't leave any people behind. Well, they did leave people behind. So the enemy wanted them out of there. And that enemy was forever a sore in their a prick in their side, wanting to get this land back, causing them problems, stealing their food, setting fires to their crops, just causing all kinds of problems. Okay, and then choices. Choices, we have choices. Follow God, don't follow God. Stay where the blessing is, don't stay where the blessing is. When God tells you to do something, you have a choice. Will I do it? Will I don't do it? And we all have that personal choice. It's not always a family choice like this one was, because when the father goes, everybody will follow after. But we have a personal choice, and we need to make sure that we follow that personal choice. Now, the choice they made caused a lot of loss. The husband died, Elimelech died, and the two children died. So both of them died, and it was hardship on them. But there's going to be blessing at the end. So God always turns things around for our good. But there's always blessing somewhere at the end. We don't always see it when it's happening. And when someone loses their life, that's even harder to see. But there's still always blessing. And they may have been sent over there just for one reason. Sneak peek to pick up Ruth and bring her back. Okay, so I'm going to give you the names of the family now and what the names mean. Because as we read this story, it's going to make a difference. Now, Naomi means pleasant or delightful. So every time they said her name, they're saying, oh, the pleasant one. Oh, the delightful lady. And if you hear that, you become like that. Elimelech means my God and my King. So he was to honor the Lord God. Mehon means weak. And Chilion means failing. Now, scholars think that that meant that he was setting a mood for the story, that wasn't the real name. Why would you name your child weak or failing? But that they died, so that's why the name was given to them. Now, Ruth means friendship, and we'll see that that's exactly what she's going to be with Ruth. A very great friend. And Oprah was stiff-necked or firmness. So this story kind of tells us who they are, what they mean. Now, I don't even know if Oprah was her real name, but we know Ruth is because she was listed in the genealogy. So we're going to see what happens. And these people had to make choices too. Would they stay or would they go? What would they do with God's chosen? Okay. So we're going to read this chapter 1. And we're going to talk about this choice. Now, they paid dearly. They paid dearly for this land that they left that was blessed. Now, this blessed land, Bethlehem, Judea, was bread, land of the blessing. So I'm going to read these chapters, and we're going to talk about them as we read. Okay, so here we go. So now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. Remember, these judges are evil, and they're turning the people back to the gods and away from the things God had said. The little g gods they're turning them to. There was a famine in the land. Remember, now historians had done a search on this land, and they found that there was a lot of water. So it wasn't that it was a famine of plants or trees or water. It was a famine that people were coming in and taking it. So this famine in the land means scarcity of foods. They had no food. So therefore, that's the reason you can't pay your bills. You're going to leave, right? So they went to live in the country of Moab. He and his wife and his 2 sons. So Elimelech just picks up his whole family and moves out. They gather everything they own, and they're going to track this 40 to 70-mile journey. And then the name of the man was Elimelech. Remember, that means my God, my King. And Naomi, pleasant and delightful. And the 2 sons, Mahlon, weak, and Chilion, failing. They were Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judea, of the land of bread, of the land of blessing. That's where they came from. And they came to the country of Moab, and they continued there. Now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, he died, and she was left with her 2 sons. So here he is. He made a choice to go to this land. He sets up this land, and we don't know where in the 10 years. They lived there 10 years. But we don't know where in this 10 years he died. But we do know that he went there and he tried to make a home. And we don't know what he died of, if it was natural causes or whatever it might have been. We don't know what the reason was. But they were living there in that land. And they were there 10 years. So if it was by the enemy, they probably would have left a lot sooner. So Elimelech and her husbands died. She was left with her 2 sons. Now these 2 sons, after he died, took 2 wives of the women of Moab. The name of one was Oprah, stiff-necked. And the name of the other was Ruth, friendship. And they dwelled there about 10 years. So they're all dwelling there. Now, we don't know how long they were married. Could have been a couple years. The boys could have been anywhere from when they left. Could have been any age, because they marry from the ages of like 14 to 18. They were getting married. It's not like here. And they were already having children. These kids have not had children yet. So we don't know what age they were, but they had been there 10 years. So they could have got there when they were, 7, and now they were 14. They could have been 12, and now they're 20, 22. We don't know. And so, and it doesn't really matter. But what matters is that they were there, they were living, they got married. They made a choice now to marry these women. These women came from the land of Moab. God had clearly told them, don't go with these other gods and don't marry these women out of these other places. And so they did anyway. They both did. The sons married these women. So then they dwelled there for 10 years. Now Mahlon and Chilion also died, both of them. Wow, there's another curse, another curse. Now God didn't do it, but he does allow it to be done. And these people did not know that these other gods were Satan gods. They didn't know that they were being led by that. What they did know is that God allowed or denied everything that happened came from God. So at this point, they don't know about God because they didn't have the Holy Spirit. They didn't have Jesus coming in and teaching them yet like we do, where we can look backwards. But they know God allowed everything. Okay, so these curses she's thinking are from them. And the women was left over 2 sons and her husband. So now they're left. The women are left. So it's the 2 daughter-in-laws and it's Naomi. And she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab. For she had heard in the country of Moab how the Lord had visited his people, giving them bread. So remember, Gideon was about that time. So he'd probably gone out and conquered that army that was around there. And so now a year had come, and now they've been able to get the bread. They've been able to get their harvest in. They've been able to make some money and eat some food. So they've been fighting that thing for 10 years. It's been a long time. So now there's going to be a choice coming up again for Naomi. and she's going to make a choice, and she wants to go back to this place, her home. Remember, when they left that place, she left her family, she left her children, she left all her friends. She grew up with these kids since she was just an infant. So she knew everybody, but she was left behind. Wow, that's a hard choice to make, to leave your family when that wasn't the normal thing to do. Normally you would stay with your tribe or your people. So then she arose with her daughters-in-law that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard that there in the country of Moab how that the Lord had visited her people, giving them bread. So now here she is in the land of her enemy, hearing that the Lord is now blessing her home. And she's rising up. I'm going home. I'm going to where my blessing is. Everything here has been taken from me. I've got 2 daughter-in-laws. Wherefore she went out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judea. Now they're all going to go home. She's walking with them. She's not telling them what she's doing yet. They're all walking home. And she's thinking about it, and she probably gets them about to their homeland when she starts talking to them. She may not want them to know exactly what she's doing, but she's packed up and she's left. Remember, she's got to carry everything from her home and take it back so she can start over. But she knows she has a home there. She knows she's going to be starting again, but she wants to take the things that are personal to her. You don't move without taking your stuff. Why would she move without taking her stuff? But it's a long journey. And Naomi said unto her 2 daughter-in-laws, Now go and return to your mother's house, and the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. And the Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed him, and they lifted up their voice and wept. She's telling them, you're going to go get a husband, and you're going to find rest. Well, rest meant peace. Rest meant you'd have someone taking care of you, which was the tradition of that people. So if you had a husband who was guarding over you and watching over you, you could rest in that. You could be peaceful in that. And so she's telling them, go back to your people, go back to your gods, go back to your families, because your families will take you in. And go back to the place where you came from, because you know it, because you've lived it, because you haven't been with us that long. And so she's sending them back. But they said to her, Surely we will return with thee and unto thy people. So they both decide they're going to go with her. They both make the commitment to go with her. Choice. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there any more sons in my womb, that you may be husbands that age? Well, if a woman were to have another son, okay, here's the truth behind this. So if she were to have another baby, they would wait for that baby to grow up and they would marry that baby. Well, that'd be like marrying your own child that age at this point. And she's saying, do I have any more? I'm an older woman. I don't have any babies inside of me. I'm not even married. It's going to be a long time, right? So go find a husband in your own home, in your own place. Turn again, my daughters, and go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I say I have hope, if I should have a husband, also tonight, and should also bear sons, would you wait for them till they were grown? Would you stay for them having husbands? Nay, daughters, it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. She's saying, I feel really, really bad. I feel really bad, but you're not going to wait for this child to grow up. That's going to be another 12, 14 years. You're going to be 12, 14 years older. Would you wait for that? And I don't even have a husband yet. So even if I should find a husband, it's going to be that long if I get lucky to have a child. So go back to your home, because I have nothing to give you. I have absolutely nothing to give to you. So they lifted up their voices and wept. And Oprah kissed her stiff-necked, kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. Well, this is saying that she turned now. She kissed her and said, okay, goodbye. I'm going home. And so I'll see you later. And so she gets going down her path and she leaves her mother-in-law. She sees the sense in this, but her choice is to return to these gods, return to her old way of life, Now, if you receive Jesus, you really don't want to turn back and go to your old way of life. It's a good lesson not to do. You want to stay with this new life that you've got. Okay. But Ruth held on to her. She clave to her. She wouldn't let her go. She hung on her. She wasn't going to let her go. She wasn't going anywhere without Ruth. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following thee. For after thou goest, I will go. For whither thou goest, I will go. And where thou lodgest, I will lodge. And my people shall be, and thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Wow, she's making a promise right there. She's saying, I don't know this God so much. I'm learning about this God, but I like what I see in you, Naomi. I like the way you talk. I like the way you're different. I like what I see. I want to be a part of that. So your God will be my God. My God will be the same as yours. And where you go, I'm going. So I don't care if you leave, I'm following. I don't care what you do. You're not getting rid of me. And then she says, and where thou diest, I will die. And where thou is buried, there I will be. The Lord do so more to me also, if aught but death depart thee. So only thing that can part them would be death in her book. The Lord would curse her if she doesn't hold on to this promise. She's so willing to do this promise because she loves Naomi. She loves what she sees and she wants to be a part of this. And she's turning away from her gods, her family, her people, just like Naomi when she left her family to go to the Moab people. She's now leaving her family and everything that she's ever known to go to this new God, the Lord and Savior. So when Naomi saw that she was steadfast-minded to go with her, then she left speaking to her. So the two went until they came to Bethlehem. So remember, they traveled 40 to 70 miles on foot. And Naomi was probably so happy to have her there because now she's able to travel and, she probably had to get some food and different things and watch out for snakes and it was cold. And Naomi was an older woman, so it was easy. It was nice for her to have this help. Okay. So the two went until they came to Bethlehem, and when it came to pass that they were come to Bethlehem, all the city was moved about them, and they said, it's Naomi. Remember, she grew up there. Everybody know her. It's the pleasant lady. She's back. We're so happy to have her. Oh my gosh, they were so excited. But she said unto them, don't call me Naomi. Call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt bitterly with me. Now notice she's blaming the Lord. The Lord didn't do it, but he allowed it. Satan did it, but God working it out for her good. So she's calling herself very bitter. I'm very bitter. I don't have anything. I went out with a family. I'm coming back with nothing, except she does have Ruth. But she's coming back and she feels empty inside. You ever feel empty? It's a hard place to be. I went out full and the Lord has brought me again empty. Why then do you call me Naomi or delightful? Seeing the Lord has testified against me, the Almighty has afflicted me. So Naomi returned and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law with her, which returned out of the country of Moab. Returned from the country of the enemy, from the country of the demons, the gods that were there that way they weren't supposed to be in, the whole place. But now here comes Ruth into the new land, the land of bread, the new place she's never seen before. She's going to find something new. And they came into Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Now that barley harvest is going to be a benefit to her. It's going to be a blessing. But let's go back just for a minute. Now, we have a choice to receive God. Now, just like on the cross, one man said, Jesus, remember me in your kingdom. And Jesus said, you'll be with me in paradise. The other man said, get off this cross if you're God. And God didn't say anything to him. So when Naomi turned away and left, there was no more said. But and she became a Gentile that has not accepted God. But Ruth, when she said, your God will be my God, she got to go into the promised land of the blessing, the place where we need to be. Okay, she becomes a Jew at heart also. All right, well, I'm going to close right now, and we'll do chapter 2 next time. Blessings to you. May God just bless you and keep you and shine his face upon you. Let his countenance look up towards you. God bless. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.